On this episode of the Layover Live, Grant stops by to talk cookies. Not those kind. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 88 of the Layover Live, where we bring you the top article from the Layover each week. I'm Jason Swick, VP of Digital Marketing, joined once again by Grant Stoltz, Strategic Analyst. So Grant, welcome.
Thank you for having me once again.
Yep, we are talking cookies, right? A little different type of cookie,
yes,
as you know. Tracy Legault, who's on our team on the SEO side of things, always tells me, Jason, never trust cookies that you can't eat. We won't be eating these cookies today, but we are going to be talking about some cookies. And in fact, an article that comes from AdAge, which has to do with Google killing the cookie and talking about how the consequences may happen as it relates to advertising. It's been kind of a buzz for like a long time, talking about how we're tracking. Definitely data privacy has been top of mind for a lot of digital marketers. And there's this talk a lot as these articles have been passed around of, hey, should we be using cookies? Is there other ways to better track people so that we can protect data privacy? But before we even get into any of that stuff, because it's a long subject that honestly could warrant weeks and weeks of you and I doing episodes on this, let's talk about really, Grant, what a cookie is.
Yeah, so I guess to start things off really basically here, that the cookie is a small piece of data that a website can leave behind essentially on your browser. Normally it's used to save things like user preferences, logins, things along those lines.
Yeah, to make your life a little bit easier
totally,
a lot of times, right? Yeah.
Totally, so it doesn't have to load all that stuff or you have to input it fresh
Right.
every single time. More and more as the internet has grown and aged and of course become more of an advertising revenue tool, advertisers have started using the cookie now to both collect and serve ads based off of whatever is in the cookie, for example. So you can go about your daily business on the internet, but there's a cookie now in the background of your browser that knows exactly what web pages you've gone to, how long you spent there, maybe what actions you've even done on them. And then when you're served an ad, it will actually read that cookie to say, okay, here's the type of person that this ad should be shown to, and here's the ad content placed along those lines. So it's a way of both saving information, but again, it's been now used sort of as a tool to serve ads or help assist with the serving of ads, kind of as we get to the more intelligent age of ad serving.
Okay, so in this particular case then, and that's a great explanation, thank you. As it relates then to what Google's talking about here, what are they cautioning against here then? What are the issues that they're talking about in this particular article?
Yeah, so this all kind of stems from a blog post talking about Google, and they're actually warning against the blocking of cookies. There's been a lot of buzz, like you mentioned, with Apple, for example, with Safari and their intelligent tracking prevention. There's other browsers too that just prevent cookies outright. So essentially what were these classic tools for advertisers are now no longer able to be used, but which may actually spur advertisers potentially to either not collect as much valuable data, serve more irrelevant ads, but of course as well there's the kind of the black box element as well of, okay, maybe these advertisers might be resorting to some more unsavory tactics that aren't approved by web standards, just like the cookie is, to now collect and harvest your information for better ad serving. So it's sort of a three-prong approach there that Google cautions against, saying that the cookie actually probably is the best way for advertisers to collect and serve data for their advertising audience right now.
Well, and really, if you think about it too, Grant, for the end user, it's important too because you're getting the information that you want. If we go back to a world where we're not doing that type of tracking, then we're doing this blanket marketing approach, which is not good for anybody, right? Then we're going to start seeing ads and we're going to start seeing different banners and things popping up that just aren't relevant to what we do. So we've got to find some type of solution, whatever that solution may be. But there is definitely heavy eyes on Facebook, on Apple, on Google, big marketers like that to keep an eye on those things. So then as marketers, with all this new tracking prevention, what are some ways that we can keep an eye on this as marketers? What are some things we can be aware of out there, and how this may affect our day-to-day?
Totally, I think that's an interesting thing that, for so long, we have been dependent on the cookie for not necessarily just ad serving, but also for reporting as well. So much of Google Analytics data is also potentially something that's blocked right out of the box with Safari or Apple's intelligent tracking prevention. So I think keeping in the back of your mind that the numbers that you see on a lot of the reporting platforms aren't necessarily absolute. that if you see 115,000 sessions to your website, there might be more, there might be less. I think kind of keeping that in the back of our minds is always important, especially when we're working in digital marketing.
Yeah.
But again, it's not a perfect science just because of things like this tracking prevention that you're seeing rolled out more and more. So I think that's one thing to pay attention to. But I think the main takeaway here is that for so long, marketers have sort of abused a lot of the systems in place that the web standards have allowed, such as the cookie, which is kind of then causing this backlash from other companies to prevent that tracking in the first place.
True.
So I think the end goal really should be, as marketers, that we should make sure that we're advertising properly, collecting information with consent. I think those are two of the biggest things that would have maybe mitigated this whole situation from the get-go.
Very true.
But I think that's something we can just pay attention to, is making sure that anything we collect, that our audience is aware of what exactly we're collecting, rather than hiding it in some fine print somewhere in a privacy policy, which luckily some regulations have taken care of for us.
Very
but
true.
I think, again, it's kind of the cart before the horse in some of the cases like this.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's great insight too, Grant, because I think as we're starting to think about moving forward, look, they're going to come up with some solution to this, right? Google's entire business is based on advertising, being able to track users across the internet, to be able to better serve them the content that they want, right? So they're going to come up with some solution. It's definitely in Apple's best interest to push a move against that, because it's a pot shot at Google and what they're doing on that side. So naturally, they're going to be for moving against that type of thing. Google naturally, in some ways, is going to be biased to be for that, because their entire business is built on that.
Exactly.
Finding some happy medium that at the end can still deliver that personalized content to end users and still protect the privacy of people who are using it, I think are more important. And they will come up with some solution at some point in time. So honestly, the answer then now is kind of just wait and see what happens for the most part. But be understanding whatever comes up with, there's going to be some changes that may affect your numbers. It may affect the way you're tracking, whatever it may be. But hopefully we can come to some solution. And I'm pretty confident they will come to some solution at the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Grant, thanks for helping out. Really appreciate it.
Of course.
Thanks for tuning in each and every week. We really appreciate you tuning in and subscribing. If you haven't subscribed now, please subscribe to our channel, as we'd love to give you those insights each and every week. Also, we're available on Spotify and iTunes if you'd like to consume through audio through podcast. So thanks again, Grant. Thanks again. Thanks for tuning in each and every week. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.